From buying a sewing machine and a screen printer for just over $1,000 to being valued at over $1 billion in just 8 years is just plain wild. So the brand that I am talking about is Britain's fastest growing fashion brand. And I totally understand you guys are probably thinking, well, this isn't a consumer packaged good brand, so why are you talking about this, Josh? But anybody that's in the active nutrition, kind of functional CPG space and have not heard of the brand Gymshark, I honestly wonder, like, what rock have you been living under within the last couple of years, because they have exploded. They are everywhere. They seem to be interwoven into all aspects of the industry. And just a kind of a fun little note, they actually did start, Gymshark started as an online supplement retailer. But even if you know the Gymshark today, stick around, listen to this story. I think you guys will be able to learn a little bit about where they came from, how they got there, and what's potentially next for this athletic apparel company. So the Gymshark story started in 2012. It was started by Ben Francis and a few of his high school buddies. He was actually in college at this time. He was dabbling around with some different websites, building websites, things like that, but he was also a pizza delivery driver for Pizza Hut while he was going to college. One of those websites that he started, like I said, was a supplement retailer. But while he was running that business, he realized that there was kind of a missing thing within the bodybuilding scene, and that was a clothing company specifically for them. So he decided to take about $1,000 or so and invest that into a sewing machine, into a screen printer, basically all the savings he had. He had no idea how to actually make clothes or anything like that. So he started to learn from his mother. In his early days, him and some of his buddies were making every piece of garment, every piece of clothing that was coming out of Gymshark. So this was very much a manual process at the beginning. While he was walking around at a bodybuilding trade show, the Body Power Expo, he realized at that point all the energy that was going on. He knew that they were going down the right path with this bodybuilding clothing company, and he decided to kind of leverage the whole bank account and secure a booth space for that next year. He was really excited during that time, so he stuck his nose to the grind, just kind of kept working over that next year. He reached out to a few of kind of the what they would call now, I guess, influencers, but at the time, just like people putting out YouTube content or putting out social media content that he admired, people that he followed in the fitness scene, and sent them some clothing, asked for their opinion, just kind of very innocent, fandom type of a approach, and just said, hey, this is what I'm doing, really authentic. And they really responded very well, gave him a lot of feedback. They showed Gymshark clothing in their videos while they were working out. And this was really the infancy of, fitness YouTube and fitness social media influencers. Well, fast forwarding that into that next year at the Body Power Expo that they had a booth at, they were able to secure a few of those athletes to come by. They had a really great show, and they actually were able to secure, I think, right after the show, maybe over $30,000 or $40,000 through their website. And that was really where they realized we have something here. And Ben Francis decided to go all in on this Gymshark clothing idea. If you look at the performance of Gymshark from 2013 to 2016, they were able to have a compounded annual growth rate of 193%. So they were basically tripling every year for about 3 years. And that early idea of just kind of sending some of his inspiration, people, fitness influencers that he saw, Gymshark was able to then become kind of one of the first fitness brands, clothing brands to really lean in hard on social media influencers. And just to be kind of real and authentic with you guys, around this time frame of like the mid 2010s, like 14, 15, I remember at a trade show in the US, I can't remember which one it was, I was walking the trade show and I came across the Gymshark booth. And at first glance, I was like, what is going on here? There was a ton of people around it. There was a good energy around there, but I was looking at the clothes and there was like this big, obnoxious kind of like muscle shark that was on there. And I thought, how funny is this? Like, why would anybody want to wear this? Why would anybody want to support this? This is just silly. I don't really understand it. And just kind of wrote it off as like another kind of like bodybuilding niche thing. I fully admit that I didn't see the vision of what was going on. I didn't really understand the inner workings. I didn't spend the time to actually learn the back end of what was going on with Gymshark at the time. I just kind of thought, hey, this is another kind of weird clothing company that I see when I walk the trade show floors. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that kind of doubted or misunderstood Ben Francis and Gymshark's vision and what he was building. But the evolution from those kind of mid 2000s to where it's at today is honestly breathtaking. And where we're at today is there's actually some recent financials that show the company on a fiscal period ending on July 31st of 2019. They had the equivalent of $225 million in USD in revenue. Super impressive. But what's more impressive is that they actually had a pre-tax profit of $23.6 million in USD. If you take this another step towards impressiveness, you'll see that they had about 2.5 to 3 times that yearly profit in cash and cash equivalents on their books. So they were cash heavy in an extremely fast growing brand that had a growth rate that was still at 75% year over year from 2018 to 2019. And that growth rate actually just got him another kind of award from HSBC. They kind of track 200 brands internationally that do a good subsection of their sales from a multinational perspective. And they actually had it ranked as the fastest growing fashion brand in terms of like private mid-market companies, the size of companies. And then they had them as the number 18th overall business globally. And that was actually down from, they had the top spot in the year prior, but since they're obviously growing, law of large numbers, since they look at the growth rate, similar to how they do it in the US with like Inc. 500 and things like that. As you grow in revenue base, those numbers to keep them as high as you need them to be on those lists from a comparative growth year over year perspective gets a lot harder. So that's not taking away anything of what Gymshark is doing because they are still doing things at or more impressive than they did the year before. If you think about these financials, we're talking about July of 2019. So we're in July of 2020, so already another year passed. So it's not crazy to think that the brand could have had revenues of somewhere around $400 million in USD this year. Obviously, I have no idea what's going on with COVID-19, how that affected the business. If you look at just some of the other athletic apparel companies, be that Nike, Adidas, Lululemon, anybody like that, they all have had to struggle with what's going on in the global economy. So even though Gymshark is growing like crazy, I would imagine they had some retraction in terms of their growth. So are they at that $400 million? Probably not. Are they closer to probably 3 or 350? I would guess probably somewhere closer to that area. But again, that takes nothing away from Gymshark. They are navigating the same complex global economic crisis that everybody else is dealing with right now. Just kind of transitioning, how did they get so impressive? Like, how did they jump so quickly? How did they become such a driving force in athletic apparel? For me, I think it comes down to several areas. The first one is around kind of the marketing tactics or strategies, talking around like social media, digital marketing, and then influencer marketing. Talked earlier around them being kind of one of the first businesses, brands to really champion the influencer marketing in terms of a nascent space with fitness influencers, especially like YouTubers at that time. But they've been able to kind of continuously add the right people, the right resources, the right strategies on social, on digital, everything that encompasses that area to be best in class, regardless of what year. You see their creative getting awards, you see their social media getting plugs from a lot of the thought leaders in the space. So people are looking at Gymshark and respecting what they're doing. And that has nothing to do with just the athletic apparel category or just fitness category. This is like they're giving them dabs on just industry business as a whole, the way that they're attacking social, digital, and influencer marketing content. Last time I looked, the corporate, I think Instagram is at around 4.6 million followers. If you count some of the other like subcategories, it's bigger than that. If you count all of the athletes or like sponsored brand ambassadors that they have, you're looking in the hundreds of millions in terms of social media reach. The second area that I think doesn't get enough of credit overall, I probably don't talk about it deep enough on my channel, is just like the cash conversion cycle. Gymshark is probably, if not one of the best in the way that they manage their cash. which is extremely important when you're looking at a hyper growth or fast growing business. A business within a category of physical goods, be that just consumer goods like apparel or a consumer packaged good like a protein drink, you are always dealing with a physical good inventory. And because of that, you have this cash cycle that you need to be always fulfilling more inventory. Now, Gymshark actually has what they call a negative cash conversion cycle, which is much different than a lot of like direct to consumer brands that have, maybe a month or two of a positive cash conversion cycle. That positive, negative kind of label might confuse you a little bit, because negative cash conversion cycle is actually where you want to be. That's the ideal spot. In the most simplistic definition is basically that Gymshark is able to create cash off the inventory that they're buying before their payable is due. So all of this growth, they can order products if they have 6 months of terms with their suppliers. If they are able to get that to the Gymshark distribution centers and they're able to sell through that before the 180 days, they actually are able to create a negative cash conversion cycle. And now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I might actually put another video out that just talks about the cash conversion cycle, because I actually think that's a video that a lot of people would get a ton of value from. If you do want to see that video, please comment down below in the video. I would love to hear your opinion on that one. Another area that I think Gymshark did really well in and why they progressed was just their overall community management. And what I'm talking about here is just creating customers into brand ambassadors. If you just take a quick look at the amount of times Gymshark gets tagged in terms of like user-generated content on Instagram, you'd be amazed. There's tons and tons daily that are proud to wear Gymshark, take pictures of it, the way they look in Gymshark. And then Gymshark has done an extremely good job, be that through a lot of their ambassadors, athletes themselves, to foster that community, making sure that they're commenting, making sure they're supporting these people through their journey, making sure they feel great, and making sure that they are creating a welcoming community for everybody, that people feel excited to spend money with them. They do not feel like they're just a transaction or just a dollar to Gymshark. They feel like they are one of their friends. They are somebody that is a part of the Gymshark movement. And that is something that's extremely important. What you could see across all brands today that are growing strong is this community aspect, is they're actually building a relationship with their customers. They know their customers know them, and they're able to feed off of each other. Final kind of point I want to bring up, and I'm sure I'm probably missing a few of them, but just to kind of keep this a little bit short, is that there was a CEO transition in 2017. Ben Francis actually stepped down, and they brought in a seasoned Reebok executive, Steve Hewitt. And basically at that point, Ben Francis stepped back as I think 24-year-old young man and said, hey, I might not be the person to run this business right now. I need to kind of figure out what I'm great at. I need to learn as a business person. I want to start moving towards things I'm most passionate about. And that is impressive for anybody at any age. And if for somebody at their mid-20s, I'm thinking about me at 24, I was just getting out of my MBA program. I was quite the selfish person that probably had too big of an ego at that time to ever think that I wasn't right or wasn't always the best for that situation. For him to realize that, to be self-aware enough to say, hey, I might need to put the business ahead of me right now and really kind of take this time to learn from people and hire the right people and mature the business and make sure that I'm bringing in the right people that can run all the different aspects of this business to move us into somebody that's not going to be just selling a couple $100 million worth of clothing, but a couple $1 billion worth of clothing. How do I do that? For him to be self-aware enough to do that, I have the utmost respect for him, because I don't think a lot of people, regardless of age, would be able to do that. So all the success that Gymshark's had, like, where does this ultimately end? First of all, no pun intended, a lot of private equity firms are circling them like a shark. And this isn't necessarily anything new. I think for the last year or so, this has been kind of happening, where they have been getting some inquiries and things around private equity firms that want to buy a piece of Gymshark. But there was a news organization in the UK, I think Sky News, that said that they are working with PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, and looking at potential buyers. Ben Francis, that owns, I think, somewhere around 2/3 of Gymshark still, would be looking to sell somewhere around 20% of his business. So for a company that is really cash rich, doesn't necessarily need any investment at this point, why would they be looking to potentially get a minority investor? I think if you pay attention to some of the interviews that Ben Francis put out, also just some commentary on his YouTube channel, which I would totally suggest you guys check out. He has a YouTube channel on his own that for the last probably 3 or so years that he's put out some content talking around the business growth of Gymshark. He is very confident that Gymshark could be a competitor to the Lululemons, the Adidas, the Nikes. And to do that, he needs to have gasoline to throw on the fire, the excitement that he has right now. Not to say they already don't have a little bit of that, but if you're talking about 20% or so of the business and at $1 billion plus valuation, you're looking at $200 to $300 million in gasoline that you could throw on the fire. That is a lot of potential that could be thrown to get themselves outside of the existing kind of customer bases, get them to broaden their customers, maybe look at different categories, bigger categories that maybe are a little bit outside of the risk profiles that they currently would like to work in. So there's a ton of potential with this investment. We'll see where it plays out. It's not anything announced at this point, but something that I kind of caught whiff of and wanted to make sure that anybody that has been kind of paying attention to the Gymshark story could get caught up a little bit.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.